Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this live edition. It's been a little bit, right? It's been a little bit since I've gone live, but we do have breaking news. Happy to get that out to you again, guys. Welcome to Believers Talk. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I know that this NFL season officially ended yesterday, right? Super Bowl 54. Again, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs and to Patrick Mahomes getting that MVP. I don't think he deserved it. Let me know if you think so in the comment section. Do you think Mahomes deserved that MVP? But anyhow, again, thank you guys for joining me as we have just recently received some Buffalo Bills breaking news. I wanted to bring that to you, talk about a little bit. Let me get your opinions on it as well. Hey, Austin Church, how you doing? Glad to see you in here, man. Always good to see you. Young King, welcome to Believers Talk, guys. We will be breaking this down and give everyone a few minutes to get in here. And I'm also going to see if I can get this chat up and running correctly. I don't know why I always have an issue with the chat, but I'm going to wait to give you guys a few minutes to get in here, guys, so we can talk about. But again, my name is Joe. Again, if you're new to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video. We're going to talk about Greg Olsen. Hey, Danny Martinez, welcome to Believers Talk. Again, guys, the football season might just ended yesterday, but the news keeps coming in. Right, so we cannot take a break here on Believers Talk, and we are going to let you know what's going on all off season long. So if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hey, Young King, how you doing? Mafia, we in here? Absolutely. Austin Church talking about, of course, Greg Olsen. Like I said, just came across my phone. Greg Olsen going to come visit Buffalo, right? Going to come visit the Buffalo Bills. Greg Olsen released by the Carolina Panthers not that long ago. Just actually today, I think it was made official. So now Greg Olsen officially is a free agent. And I know some of you might be a little concerned or might be thinking, hey, I thought free agency didn't start until the start of the league year, which is March 18th. It doesn't for the guys whose contract runs out, right? If your contract runs out, you're not officially an unrestricted free agent until the new league year begins, the 2020-2021 league year. Well, that's not the case here. Greg Olsen's contract did not run out. The Carolina Panthers simply released him. So you do have to take that into account. We've done this before. Again, some guys come to mind that we've picked up who were released by the team. In fact, the moron Davis, who retired after a game and a half, if that much, we got him before free agency officially began, before the start of the new league year. And that can happen again. If a team releases a player who is still under contract, that guy can get picked up right away. And that's what we see here with Greg Olsen. Hey, Apex, how you doing? Welcome to Believers Talk. So now the question is, do we want a Greg Olsen? Obviously, he's coming in for a visit. So obviously, Coach McDermott, Brandon Beane, they want to see him. And we all know that, Coach McDermott, Brandon Beane, they come from Carolina, right? And where's Greg Olsen been playing the past few years? Carolina. But our ties with Greg Olsen go a little bit deeper than that. And we'll talk about that in a second. But do we want a guy like Greg Olsen on this team? Steve Hampton comes in and says we're becoming the Buffalo Panthers. Pretty much, right? I mean, we get Coach McDermott. We get Brandon Beane. We see a few Panthers players start coming our way. We saw a cornerback, I believe, come our way. A couple other big players coming our way. Obviously, we have Star Latulippe, originally from Carolina. So it looks like another Panther might be heading his way to Buffalo. But it's not just his Carolina Panther ties that might be bringing him to Buffalo. So Greg Olsen was a draft pick by the Chicago Bears in the, 2007 NFL draft. Who was the tight end coach of the Chicago Bears in 2007? Well, that would have been Rob Boras. Who is the tight end of the Buffalo Bills currently? Well, that is our man, Rob Boras. So Rob and Greg Olsen might have a little connection there, right? He was the tight end coach in Chicago when they drafted him, and now he's the tight end coach in Buffalo. So there might be a little more ties than just the Carolina Panther tie that we get with Coach McDermott. Because remember, Coach McDermott was a defensive coordinator in Carolina. Not sure how much interaction he probably would have had with Greg Olsen. Brandon Beane might have a little bit more interaction with Greg Olsen, but you look at Rob Boras, our Buffalo Bills tight end coach, and you say, hey, he was the tight end coach of the Bears when the Bears drafted him. So there might be a little bit more of a connection there. Again, guys, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. Hey, Franklin Taylor, how you doing? Glad you could be with us. Again, the season just ended yesterday. The NFL 100th season coming to a culmination with the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers, the first team in the Super Bowl era to come back from 3 straight playoff games where they trailed by double digits. So congratulations to them. I didn't mind the game. I still minded who won MVP. Was not happy about that. I do not think Patrick Mahomes deserved MVP. Just simply write yes or no in the comment section if you thought Patrick Mahomes deserved to be MVP of that game yesterday. Again, guys, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. We can go over Greg Olsen's stats, some news about Greg Olsen, because he does have the option to retire. Some entertainment platforms have come out, some pregame shows, and said, hey, we wouldn't mind bringing Greg Olsen in as a pregame football analysis or analyst, I should say. Sorry. So he does have that option too. Also said he's going to meet with the Washington Redskins. Well, why is that? Well, that's obvious. Ron Rivera, obviously former head coach of the Carolina Panthers, is now in Washington. So obviously got that connection there as well. To be honest, I do think it comes down to those 3 options. I think we're going to see Greg Olsen to be a Buffalo Bill, be a Washington Redskin, or retire. Like I said before, Greg Olsen was a first-round draft pick by the Chicago Bears, the 31st overall draft pick in the 2007 NFL draft. So, you know, he's getting a little up there in age too, 34 years old. He'll be 35 years old before the start of the next season. So how long of a contract would you want to sign him for? He did have a good year this past year. 2019, played in 14 games, 52 receptions, 597 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not as good as what Greg Olsen's used to and what Greg Olsen we've seen in the past. We're talking about a 3-time Pro Bowler here, but he has gotten the job done in the past, and maybe he is that kind of guy that we need, that veteran presence that we need in our tight end room. Seeing a lot of people, Apex, JKH, Kevin, Juan, all saying no to my question that I asked about Patrick Mahomes. Again, guys, let me know if you think Patrick Mahomes deserved the MVP, and I think it should have been Damian Williams, in my opinion, that should have gotten it. Let me know who you think should have gotten it in the comment section. But you well, as Eric Clark says, you well get Josh Allen, a veteran player. And again, you talk about that tight end room. Right now, it's a little young, right? If you look at the tight end room that we have, other than Tyler Kroft, who, by the way, could also be released by the Buffalo Bills, right? We don't have a lot of money tied up in Tyler Kroft. Kind of disappointing this past season with the injuries. Keep catching up to him. Talk about him injuring the same ankle he injured last year. So that's 2 years ago now. So it's 2 seasons in a row with the same ankle injury. So that's something you got to be careful of. And again, we do not have a lot of money tied into the Tyler Kroft basket, especially if we release him. So if we could get ourselves a Greg Olsen, someone who's experienced, someone who's an experienced Pro Bowl, so you know he's done it at a high level. Remember, this guy was playing for the Carolina Panthers when they went to the Super Bowl, so you know he knows how to get the job done. Bringing a guy like a Greg Olsen, a veteran guy, can lead a Dawson Knox, can lead a Tommy Sweeney, could even lead like a Jason Kroom if we wanted to keep him at a cheap price. Can lead those guys to opportunities of success, right? We talk about our young tight ends. Dawson Knox was very up and down this whole season, right? Some weeks we loved him. That week against Cincinnati, everyone fell in love with Dawson Knox, giving the game Rambo. We're getting jerseys with Knox on it. We're doing all kinds of things. By week 15, we were like, wait, this guy needs to be able to catch the ball on a consistent basis, because that's what he did. But if we get him a guy like a Greg Olsen, a veteran presence, could teach him a couple things, could be a great 1-2 punch for a few years. I'm just saying, maybe look into it, and that's something that you guys know. Hey, Daniel, how you doing? Welcome to Believers Talk. Glad you can make it. Guys, I see you all in here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Let people know that we are here. Let people know that we are talking about the Buffalo Bills and Greg Olsen. Like I said, breaking news, Adam Schefter reports that Greg Olsen, after being released earlier today officially by the Carolina Panthers, Greg Olsen announces that he's going to visit with the Buffalo Bills and the Washington Redskins. Obviously, the Redskins now have Ron Rivera as their head coach. Big history between Ron Rivera and Greg Olsen, since Greg Olsen did play for Carolina. But when you talk about playing for Carolina, you have to remember that that's where Coach McDermott and Brandon Beane came from. As we talked about earlier, not only do you have those two things, but you also have Rob Boras, now as the Buffalo Bills tight end coach, was the tight end coach for the Chicago Bears. When Greg Olsen was originally drafted in 2007 by the Chicago Bears, Rob Boras was their tight end coach. I don't know why I missed it for a second there. So let's go over some of Greg Olsen's stats. Again, 2019, 52 receptions, 597 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Talking about a guy who is 6'5", 255 pounds. So you want to talk about a guy who would solve our tall receiver problem, or maybe even our tall weapons problem. Greg Olsen, 6'5", would do that immediately, right? We sign him off for agency. You know that we mean business. Again, bringing a 6'5" tight end, a guy who has had lots of touchdowns in the past, only 2 last season in 2019. But talk about a guy, 3-time Pro Bowler. Talk about a guy who has had multiple tight end games, in his career. Let's go through his career. You look at the touchdowns. He had 8 touchdowns in 2009. He had 3 back-to-back Pro Bowl years in 2014, 2015, 2016. We had 6 and 7 touchdowns those seasons. Talk about a guy who in his career has 59 touchdowns. So he knows how to get into the end zone. Taller guy at 6'5", knows how to kind of box out, if you will, for those jump balls. If you look at his career, you're talking about a 13-year career. Again, and that's one thing you have to think about is the age. But in 13 years, 188 games, 718 receptions, 8,444 yards, 59 touchdowns. That's really good production, guys, especially for if you can get 14-year vet at a cheap price. Let's talk about it. I know a lot of people are happy. I see Elliot's in here. How you doing? Good to see you. I see Daniel's in here talking about Greg Olsen. How much would you want to sign him for? What kind of contract would you be interested in signing Greg Olsen for? Because, again, we do have to remember he's 34 years of age now. He's going to be 35 by the start of the 2020-2021 NFL season. You don't want to sign him to too many years because you know that production is going to slip. So I'm thinking 2-3 years. What kind of money are we talking about for Greg Olsen? Because if he has retirement on the table and you're talking about being an NFL analyst for Fox, NBC, CBS, ESPN, you're talking about some good money there. So what kind of money would we have to give him to entice him to come to Buffalo, a team that he has no history with, right? He could leave, retire today, and that would be fine. Everyone would respect that decision. Steve Hamilton comes in and says he's a 1-season stop. I wouldn't disagree with that. Again, maybe a 2-3-year deal, right? Front load it. This is one of those few contracts where you front load it. Say, hey, your first year, we're going to give you a boatload of money. Your second, maybe even third year, we'll give you some money. Maybe not as many guarantees, but at the same time, you can put some incentives in there, right? Put some incentives into his contract so that way you know he can reach those goals and possibly make more money down the line. Something to keep him interested in coming back to the NFL. Be interesting to see what he does. Elliott comes in with a 1-year, $9 million a year type deal. Wouldn't it be too bad? Again, especially if this is a 1-year rental, that's okay. That's okay. We can make 1-year deals. We know that Brandon Beane and Coach McDermott in the front office don't mind those 1-year deals at all. We think that they can be very successful with 1-year deals. So maybe that's something Greg Olsen's looking for. Now, do we have to compete with the Redskins? Not so sure. Again, you look at the Washington Redskins, they are more set at the tight end position than we are. Everyone could use a guy like a Greg Olsen, right? So you look at that and you say, hey, they're going to go after Greg Olsen just like we are. Ron Rivera, Ron Rivera is going to speak very highly of Greg Olsen to maybe convince the front office to spend more money on him than maybe the Buffalo Bills are willing to dish out. But the one thing we have to respect and love about our front office, Brandon Beane, what he's proven to us so far, he sets a price for a guy and he doesn't go above that price, right? He sets a price, and that's going to be for the most veteran guys. That's going to be for the rookie guys. He's going to set a price. He's going to set a bar and say, this is my bar. So when Greg Olsen comes to visit Buffalo, I wouldn't be surprised if, and I don't expect the deal to be done when he leaves Buffalo, because I think he's going to Buffalo and then Washington. Not sure what his travel plans look like. I am not his travel agent. Wouldn't mind that job. But I'm not sure where he plans to go first. But you can guarantee that he's going to visit both places before he makes a decision. So I don't expect to see a deal as soon as he leaves. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Daniel comes in with a 2-year deal. So yeah, again, a short-term deal. Maybe that's something Greg Olsen's looking for, right? Because he does have these opportunities to go elsewhere with his talents to become a sports analyst for one of these TV stations as well. Again, you look at the Buffalo Bills and you say we need taller receivers. We need taller targets for Josh Allen. Well, you look at Greg Olsen coming in at 6'5", and he fits that bill, right? So you do want to make sure that you give Greg Olsen a good look before you let him out your building, because this could definitely be a game changer. And if we get Greg Olsen, that doesn't put us out of the running for a third, maybe fourth round tight end in this upcoming NFL draft. Another guy that Greg Olsen could groom to become the next star tight end in Buffalo. If it's not going to be Dawson Knox, maybe it could be somebody else that Greg Olsen could groom. And then we have a good 1-2 punch there, get a third, fourth, fifth round tight end. A guy that can take a seat, go back on the practice squad, learn from a guy like Greg Olsen, and then come in next season, maybe in 2 seasons, and be at the top of his game, right? We see that all the time with veterans at their position, teaching these young guys, and all of a sudden these young guys come on strong. So we're going to see what happens. But again, guys, this morning, I'm going to say the Carolina Panthers finalized the deal to release Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen's officially a free agent. And we talked about a little bit in the beginning of this video. Some of you might be confused and say, wait, free agency doesn't open until March 18th, the beginning of the league year. And that's true if your contract runs out at the end of the 2020 season, right? Next year, or I guess the 2019-2020 season. And then March 18th is the start of the new league year, the 2020-2021 league year. And that's when you can start signing unrestricted free agents. However, Greg Olsen was not an unrestricted free agent, or not due to become an unrestricted free agent this year. He actually was just released by the Carolina Panthers. So since he was released while he was still under contract, and this is true of all NFL players, since he was released, give me 1 second here, while he was still under contract, then that means any team can pick him up at any time. He's officially become available on the market. So we're going to see, I'm looking up what Greg Olsen's most recent contract was, and it looks like, as I go on to this website here, it looks like he signed a 2-year deal not too long ago, maybe last season. 2 years, $17.1 million contract. I'm trying to see what he was due to make in 2020. In 2019, looks like he made $3.7 million in bonuses. Looks like he made a total of $6.662 million this past season. So I'm not sure. So the Carolina Panthers backloaded that contract. If it was a 2-year, $17 million contract, that means they were due to make about $10 million this year. Again, not having that type of production. Last season, only 50-some catches, 500 plus yards, and 2 touchdowns. You want to see more of a tight end if you're going to pay him $10 million. So that's why they released him. So that 1 year, $9 million range that someone talked about earlier in the comment section, that's probably ballpark, right? Maybe 1 year, 8.5, 1 year, 7, somewhere in there. Wouldn't mind that so much. Maybe we do what Carolina just did, right? Give him a 2-year, $20 million deal, 10 now or whatever it might be. 2 year, let's say 2 year, $16 million deal with 8 of it now, 8 of it later. Who knows? But that's up to Greg Olsen. He was due to be a restricted free agent, says Daniel. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But that's breaking news, guys. That's breaking news from Buffalo again. Reported by Adam Schefter that after Greg Olsen was released by the Panthers, he plans to visit with the Buffalo Bills, with the Washington Redskins. Again, you talk about having some ties with the Redskins, with Ron Rivera coming over from Carolina. Talk about having some ties with Buffalo. You're talking about Coach McDermott. You're talking about Brandon Beane, but you're also talking about the tight end coach, Rod Borez, who was the tight end coach in Chicago when Chicago drafted Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen, a first-round draft pick by the Bears in 2007. A little bit of an older guy. Hard to say that because he's only a year older than me, but a little bit of an older guy. So we're going to see what the Buffalo Bills do. Again, if you're not watching this live, first and foremost, make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment. Do you want Greg Olsen to be a Buffalo Bill, or would you rather move on, maybe get a high draft pick tight end? Those are our options right now. There are a few other tight ends coming available in free agency. However, none of them as big of a name as Greg Olsen. So again, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to Believers Talk, guys, this will be the first week where I start streaming Buffalo Sabres games. The plan is to stream a Buffalo Sabres game this Thursday and also on Sunday. So make sure if you haven't subscribed, you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and like I said, leave a comment. Let me know if you guys would want to bring in Greg Olsen to the Buffalo Bills, bring in a veteran tight end, and see if he can help that tight end room. Again, my name is Joe. Thank you for joining me for this quick breaking news edition. Again, I'm going to bring you all breaking news this whole off season. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment. I'll talk to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.